Homemade tomato soup is way easier than you think to make. Make it in about 20 minutes or so at home, no problem. A lot of these ingredients you might already have in your fridge too, which is nice. And 'tis the season, right? It's fall, it's getting a little cold out, at least by me it is in New York. My wife loves soup. I'm not a huge soup guy, to be 100% honest. Part of it, I was just thinking through it a little while ago, part of it's probably because in the Coast Guard when I cooked on a ship, right? Cooking in these big rolling waves out at sea, especially when I was in the Gulf of Alaska, 45, 50 foot rolling waves, no problem. Well, pain in the ass, but anyways, we'd lose a lot of soup, especially if they weren't secured to, we used to use these little like rubber pot holders to secure stuff on the cooking surfaces because our kitchen or our galley was all stainless steel countertops. Stuff would fly off, sail off in big waves. I had to clean up way too many soup pots, I think, and that might be why I'm not a big soup guy. I think I just came to that idea. But I do love this soup, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna walk you through the ingredients now. First and foremost, obviously you're gonna want some tomatoes. These are nice tomatoes I got on the vine. Actually pretty nice today, sometimes they're not. I got a yellow onion. You can use sweet onion, red onion, whatever suits your fancy. We're gonna use some fresh garlic. You can also use shallots combined with all this or a mix of one of the two. We're gonna use fresh parsley. You could also add in fresh basil. Carrot, I'm using about a half of a really big stick. We'll peel it and then chop it up. We're using one celery stick. I'm also gonna use a little of this tomato basil paste. This stuff is pretty tasty. I'll mix it in with the veggies once they get sauteed a little bit, and it just adds another depth of flavor to it that I really like. I'll be using vegetable broth as well. You can use chicken too. It's personal preference really. Use some olive oil, the good stuff. I'll be using unsweetened coconut milk, the lighter version. You can totally use the full fat, it's your call. Then just some salt and cracked black pepper. To start, we're gonna chop up all of our veggies into pretty large chunks, honestly, because the plan is we're gonna saute them all in this pan, an oven-friendly pan. And then I'm thinking I'm gonna toss it in the broiler. After the veggies come out of the broiler, we're going to pop it in a blender, and that's where the magic happens. That's really what I mean by how it's so easy to make tomato soup, maybe a little easier than you thought. All it really is, you're cooking down some vegetables, your mirepoix, which mirepoix is your onion, your carrot, and your celery together with some aromatics like parsley, garlic, shallot, whatever else, and you're gonna season it up. You're gonna cook it down, broil it. You're gonna toss it in the blender, blend it all up, throw a little of that coconut milk in there to get it a little creamy, and you're good. It's really as easy as that, and you can do this with any kind of veggie. You're making butternut squash soup, for instance, throw a bunch of butternut squash in there along with your mirepoix, your aromatics, season it up, have some coconut milk ready to go. After you cook it off, broil it a bit, or don't broil it, just cook it off. Throw it in the blender, add some coconut milk, and you got butternut squash soup. It's the same across the board with whatever kind of soup you want to make, really. Quick trick, I like to keep a little side dish or a bowl or something to put anything I discard in the trash, right? It makes it a little easier, makes cooking a little more efficient. The fun part about cooking soups, oh, also, real quick before I forget too, obviously besides the sticker, everything in this bowl should just be veggie scraps. So you can go ahead and stick it in a big Ziploc bag or a container, something freezer friendly. Stick it in the freezer, and once your bag or container gets full enough, you can throw it in to make your own fresh veggie stock. We do that pretty often around here, and it's really nice. Or you can throw it in the compost or throw it out, whatever works for your world. But anyway, so we're gonna peel the onion, and we're gonna cut it into really whatever you need to, but you don't need to cut it too big. That's the fun part about soups. You can cut it pretty, wow, this is a really strong onion cover here. You can cut the veggies though as big as you want, really, because we're just gonna get them roasted and cooked down just a little bit before we throw them into the blender. So there's no need to make like a small dice or anything like that. I usually do 1/2-inch cuts on these. The onions, just like that, they're good. Now we're gonna cut up our carrot after we give it a quick peel. You could technically leave the skin on, but I'm not going to. Little tip about peeling anything also. If you're peeling something, never peel it over the trash can, because if you drop that veggie into the trash can, then, especially if you drop it in something gross like ground meat in there or something, then you're not going to use it again. So peel over something that is veggie friendly, like this bowl for instance. So with the carrots, I think I'm going to slice it down the middle real quick and then just make some quick chops. Again, nothing crazy. We want the carrot a little smaller because carrots are a little tougher to cook down. Now with our garlics, simple. We're just going to cut the little root end off. We're going to give a nice little smash. And it should peel off pretty easy after that. Next, we're going to cut up our celery. With the tomatoes, we want to cut the top part off, obviously, and then we're going to, these are pretty small, so we're going to just quarter these. We're just going to give a very rough chop. Nothing too crazy. So our pan's heating up right now, which is good. Our pan's pretty hot right now, but we got to do the water drop test. So see how all the water beads around and it kind of looks like it's ice skating around the pan? For these specific stainless steel pans, that means they're ready to go. If they burst instantly, they're not hot enough. So funny enough, once I got this pan, for me, there's a pretty big learning curve to it, to be completely honest, because I never used these in my life, up until very recently. On the ship, we just used a big-ass griddle, which was super easy. A lot of professional kitchens, or professional chefs, right, they use these and they're very experienced with them. But I'm coming to really enjoy this pan now that I'm starting to get in the rhythm of using it. Oh yeah, we're gonna throw in just about everything besides our tomatoes and our parsley. We're gonna hit it with a little salt and pepper. If you don't have a little pepper mill, go get one. Oh my god, I'm not that good at this, I guess. It's okay, to my defense, I couldn't flip a griddle like this. We're going to throw in our tomatoes now. You get our parsley in as well as some tomato paste. Hit it with a little more salt and pepper now that the tomatoes are in here. Oh yeah, we want this baby nice and salty. So we're only going to saute all this for a little longer before we hit it in the broiler, because that's really where the magic's going to happen, especially with the tomatoes. The tomatoes, they'll get nice in here, but we want them to get a nice little char on them, which is going to come out like a smoky flavor in the soup. I mean, I wish you could smell how delicious this is right now. I'm sure my wife is jonesing to come out after her next call to eat this for lunch. I know I'm already jonesing to eat it. So, see how soft these tomatoes are getting now? They're pretty much halfway cooked or so, if not 75% cooked. We're going to pop them in the broiler for a few minutes probably, so they get a nice crisp on them. Alright, and this goes to the broiler. Make sure it's on the top rack. We'll see if I set off my fire alarm. It's been going about 4 or 5 minutes now. It needs a little longer, but I want to show you the progress it's made. So as you can see, it's starting to get a little more wilted and a little charred on top, but not quite there. So after another few minutes, my broiler is not that great. I really need an oven upgrade, but as you can see, it's nice and crispy. That's perfect. I can't tell you how many times I've grabbed this damn handle and burnt the hell out of my hand, because I mentioned earlier, I was not trained to cook on these whatsoever when I was in the Coast Guard. We cooked on this gigantic griddle, a few other very large-scale cooking devices. Didn't really have that many pots or pans, and what we did have were not as nice as these stainless steel ones. If you want to make it easier to pour in, you can pour this into a large mixing bowl, especially if you're a little worried about being shaky holding it, or if you're a little older, or whatever your situation is. Just make it easy for yourself. Don't be a trooper. So we're going to pour it all in here, and we'll kind of eyeball the amount of veggie stock, or veggie broth, and coconut milk to pour in once we see it. Let's see how to do. Okay, I only lost a couple little pieces of veggies, but we can save them. So as you can see, there's already a bit of liquid in here, but we want that soupiness, right? So we want to add a little bit of coconut milk and the veggie broth to really amp it up a bit. But remember, pour a small amount in instead of a large amount because you can't subtract the amount you pour in. We'll add a little bit to start. We'll see if it needs more. Try to get the chunky, creamy part. That's the really good stuff. Same thing with the coconut milk. We'll do a little to start. We'll taste it and we'll go from there. Now we're gonna just pulse it. Man, this smells amazing. It's always good to pulse at the begin. You don't want to put too much strain on your blender, right? So depending how chunky or not chunky you like your soup, blend it accordingly, obviously. I'm going to blend mine a little more. It almost looks like a marinara sauce right now. So the consistency is, like I said, it almost looks more like a marinara right now, but we'll taste it. We'll see. Pretty good. Needs a little more coconut milk. And just taste along the way and add ingredients in. I think it needs a little more salt too. Salt is one ingredient that really can amplify a dish and really change the entire flavor profile of the whole thing. If you add even just a smaller amount in, it's kind of wild. So we'll add a little more salt in. I think we'll add in just a tiny bit more veggie broth. Blend it up a little more and then we'll see where we're at. There we go, baby. We got the need for speed. Oh yeah, I can already tell consistency is much better now. Now it's a really good consistency. That, you know, good soupy consistency. Now for the fun part, we get to pour it up and eat some. This is tomato soup. Obviously goes really well with grilled cheese. I don't have the stuff to make grilled cheese today. I do have some sourdough bread that I'll probably cut up and toast or something, but really easy. Just remember how easy it is to make soup at home. You can use the same kind of style of recipe, the core concepts, to make just about any kind of veggie soup. Like I talked about in the beginning, butternut squash soup, perfect example. You make celery soup, squash soup, all the different veggies. Play around with it. See what you like. Use the same method of cooking. Remember, saute, then broil, then blend, and you're good. It's as easy as that. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. I'm excited for you to try it. If you do try it, let me know in the comments. I never know if anybody actually makes my recipes because I usually don't hear, but I see people watching, so let me know if you actually make it, all right? I'm interested. It's really good. And if you do make it, tell me what you did to make it better. I'm always learning as a cook. I don't know nearly everything whatsoever, so teach me as well. I'd love to hear your input.